Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. My name is Dan and it's time for our Game Week 33 team selection video where I'm going to be showing you my scores from last week as well as going on to show a little bit of my strategy moving forward as well, including my team selection for this game week. So guys, if you do enjoy this one, please do drop a like, please do subscribe if you're new around here. But first of all, let's have a look at our scores from last week. Okay, so pretty pleased with the free hit. I think it was a success to a degree. 73 points, which has given me a nice green arrow up to 97,000, which means I am finally in the top 100k. First time this season after a terrible start to the season. It's really nice to finally be clawing back to something a little bit more respectable. Since the World Cup break, my aim really was to just end up with a finish that is not amazing. I know I'm not going to be able to do amazing again this season after the start I had, but going from sort of 1.82 million all the way up to 100,000 now is really positive. I think the aim now is to finish about 50k or more. I would be really pleased with that, and certainly the second chance league I'm doing really well in, so I'm around 15,000th in the second chance league at the moment. If I can get top 10k in the second chance league, again, I will be super pleased with that one. So we've all got to set our own targets and realistic targets as well. I'll be interested here where you guys are right now in the overall leaderboards and where you aim to be by the end of the season. But for me personally, 50k I think is on the cards. If we can push any further, then that would be amazing, but that is going to take something a little bit special. But we still are going to try something a little bit special. Quickly on the scores, I feel like I am a little bit disappointed by some of my players. Yes, some of my players like Trippier, Moreno and Jesus blanked, but I was always going to pick those players, so I'm not too bothered about that one. What really bugs me is the fact that I really wanted to go for Andreas instead of Gakpo, and I wanted to go for Jota instead of Isak, which would have given me 9 more points. It would have given me a score of 82 points for Game Week 32. But the problem is I wanted Isak so much more than any other player really in the whole Premier League, because I was so certain that Newcastle were going to score plenty of goals against Spurs. And that did happen, to be fair. So I called that one right, but it was at the expense of Jota. It was at the expense of playing Andreas, who was unfortunately left on my bench as a result of that one. But just one of those things. I'm still pretty happy with this score. Slightly above average for free hitters, I imagine, but yeah, it could have been slightly better, but I'm not going to feel too down really. I'm really pleased to be in the top 100k now, and I'm really kind of feeling positive about moving forward as well with making some more moves, because I feel like I am really well set up for the future double game weeks. Moving on to Game Week 33, guys, I've got one free transfer and 0.4 in the bank. So we're going to go through my team, and then I'm going to roll through some of my options and what that's going to mean for the future of my team. So first of all, in goal, I'm actually going to go for Kepa. I have Edison against Arsenal or Kepa against Brentford. And if I'm totally honest, I think both of these teams probably concede in these games. So I'm going to go for Kepa because I know he makes more saves. He does make more saves in games, and I feel like that is going to be maybe a smaller advantage. And one other small thing that not too many people pick up on is that Brentford seem to be doing far more better at home than away. They've actually failed to score a few times when they've been playing away from home recently, and that's exactly what we've got this game week. Chelsea, despite all of their fragilities recently, they are still a reasonably good defence, and I do think there is a chance of a clean sheet here. So I'm really praying for a clean sheet and hoping for a few save points from Kepa as well. Maybe we can get the return of the godly Kepa that we saw kind of a few months ago, because that was amazing when we had all of those Kepa hauls. I'm hoping for another Kepa haul right now before I pretty much switch to Edison as my perma goalkeeper, I guess, particularly over the double game week. So fingers crossed for Kepa. Let's move on to defence. We have got Trippier first of all against an Everton team that really does struggle to score goals. They create the odd chance, of course, but they don't have any finishers in their team. And I do like the Newcastle defence quite a lot, and I do feel like they have been really underperforming their numbers recently, and the clean sheets are coming. I really truly believe it. How many weeks will I be saying that for? I have no idea, but certainly over the next 2 game weeks, Everton and Southampton, these presents 2 real nice opportunities for clean sheets. So let's see if Newcastle can do it. Trippier, of course, offering plenty in attack as well, creating a lot of chances, one of the most creative players in the whole Premier League. Can he get the odd assist? Definitely. Let's see if that comes off. We have got Chilwell as well here, so we are going to be doubling up on the Chelsea defence, and I know that sounds really risky. Of course it does, but in the end, I was kind of split between which defenders I was going to play this game week, and the Chilwell slot was the one I wasn't 100% 100% sure on. Now, what I ended up deciding was I'm going to go for Chilwell because I recognise there is a chance of a clean sheet. It may be a slim chance of a clean sheet, but there's a chance nonetheless. But more importantly, Chilwell's attacking numbers are a lot better than the other kind of defenders I have on my bench, which are Shaw and Botman. So therefore, Chilwell as the best attacker of my defenders who I'm kind of deciding between. Clean sheets been coming a little bit randomly recently, so I can't really make a guarantee on that one, but what I can say is that Chilwell is providing plenty of creativity for his team, if his team can finish off those chances, that is, and he is taking the odd shot as well, and has been unlucky not to get some more points recently, and to be fair, he has got some points over the last 6-7 game weeks. There has been a few times where Chilwell has returned, to be fair, so could that happen again in this game week? I don't see why not, so I'm going to roll with him. I'm going to see what happens there. I'm going to finish off the defence with Pervis Estupiñán, who was a player who I was definitely going to play, always going to play this guy. Nottingham Forest, maybe away from home, but certainly this is a really good opportunity for a clean sheet for a Brighton team that, again, another team that's kind of been unlucky not to keep many clean sheets recently. It is a strong defence, and I do feel like there is clean sheets are on the cards, but again, Estupiñán has got really, really nice attacking numbers, kind of better than Chilwell's, for example, taking shots on, getting in dangerous areas, creating for his teammates as well, and if he passes just to Kaoru Mitoma, for example, and he provides a little bit of magic there, then, hey, they're on the same side of the pitch, it happens, and maybe you get a cheeky assist that way as well. So overall, really happy with Pervis Estupiñán. I'm really looking forward to this next run of fixtures for him because he's got a nice fixture against Forest, nice fixture against Everton, and outside of that, it's all about the double game weeks for Brighton. So I think that's going to be a really, really a good player to own right now, provided he can play every game. I think he is going to be able to. He's so crucial to the way Brighton play that can't really see him being dropped or rested. This is really, really important for Brighton. They're out of the FA Cup now. They've got this real opportunity to play European football next year and have their, best ever finish, certainly in my lifetime. Some of you guys may know, particularly Brighton fans, if Brighton have ever finished as high as they're kind of looking likely to finish this season, because I certainly can't remember it ever happening. Into midfield, guys, we have got Bruno Fernandes. Now, this is a little bit of an interesting one because a picture has emerged, on Tuesday evening of Fernandes in his home with his leg up in what looks like an ice constriction boot type thing, which is a kind of a device that is meant to reduce swelling. He has got some crutches there as well, and a kind of a protective boot that can go over the top of that. And a lot of people are worried that Bruno is going to be out for a long term. Now, from what I know, it doesn't look too serious. The specific boot that he is wearing really is to try and reduce inflammation so they can get a better look of the leg and see how if there's any real damage there. I suspect there is a little bit of a ligament damage there, to be honest, but it shouldn't keep him out for more than a week. So it's really kind of up in the air if Fernandes is going to be available for this Spurs game. If I'm totally honest, I would say the chances of him being available for this Spurs game is, he's more likely to be out of it than in it, to be honest, but I am still very hopeful that he is going to be available for the double game week, and that is something that does need to be taken into consideration. So guys, if you are a Fernandes owner, I would not say he's a definite sell. I think he'll be ready for the double game week, but certainly he's a major risk for this Spurs game because it's probably going to take him a few more days after the Thursday Spurs game before he is ready to play football again. So yeah, it looks worse. If you look at the picture, it looks worse than it probably is, but I still don't think it's full panic stations. But in the short term, it's not looking great. So just wanted to put that one out there. Fernandes owners, don't expect him to play against Spurs, but I think you can expect him to play in the double game week. We will, of course, get more information about that after the deadline, unfortunately, where we have the Manchester United press conference, and we'll hopefully get a little bit more information about Fernandes. But he is a player who will play if he is available. He doesn't like to miss a game for Manchester United, so I will expect him back as soon as possible. Next up, Marcus Rashford. That's going to be really nice against Spurs. So even if Fernandes is not available against Spurs, this Spurs team is conceding a lot of chances. They're looking really poor at the moment, and a revitalised Manchester United team may really do some damage to them. So I'm expecting Rashford, and if Fernandes plays as well, these players to really be doing some damage against Spurs and scoring a lot of goals, getting assists, creating chances, this, that, and the other. I think that it could be a pretty good thing for the Manchester United players. So if you're not owning Manchester United players right now, particularly attackers, it may be worth considering to go in on them and seeing what they can do, because we saw last game week Spurs completely come apart. The previous game weeks before that, they have been super lucky to not get absolutely destroyed in recent games because they really have been playing that poor. So really kind of wondering what's going to happen to Spurs next, because it looks like they're in a bit of a spiral at the moment. But It's very nice to be a Rashford owner when Spurs are in that spiral and Manchester United play against them next. Next up, we've got Alexis McAllister, a player who I am getting slightly more concerned about, to be honest. I think he will be playing in the attacking midfield position, but there is a chance that he now drops back into the CDM position. The problem is, even if he does play in an attacking midfield position, he can have as many chances as he likes, but he doesn't seem to be doing the business in terms of finishing. He's getting a lot of chances to score, he's shooting a lot, but his finishing doesn't seem to be quite there. So unfortunately, again, are we just going to be depending on penalties for Brighton? Well, that doesn't matter too much because Nottingham Forest are a team that concede a lot of penalties. No team has conceded more penalties in the Premier League than them this season, and therefore, if we are going to get a penalty in any game, then it's going to be against Nottingham Forest. So therefore, I am still happy to roll with McAllister. He's still going to get a lot of chances. You never know when one of those chances is going to come off. Any player gets enough chances and eventually they'll score one, and then you add penalties to that. You add the creativity for being in those dangerous areas that he is in. Against a weak Nottingham Forest team, I think you're always got a good chance of attacking return. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for. And finally, March in midfield. So March is a player who has underperformed recently, been really, really unlucky not to score more FPL points. He really has. And given how he is just this superstar player for Brighton and an underappreciated star player as well, because everyone kind of looks at the fanciness of Kaoru Mitoma, the magic that he provides, and doesn't really pay too much attention to March and how often he's in the box, how many shots he's taken, how creative he is for his teammates. He is the heartbeat of everything that's happening in this team right now, and therefore I feel like in a game against Nottingham Forest he has got as good chance as anyone else really in the entire game week of getting a really, really big score. We've seen him with some mega hauls before. I think we could see another one from him this game week. I'm feeling positive about this one. Moving up front, guys, we have got Erling Haaland against Arsenal, a game we would previously call a difficult fixture, but I don't think that's the case anymore because Arsenal have been pretty weak in defence, particularly since they've lost Saliba and some games where kind of Zinchenko has not been available. Erling Haaland is going to have a field day against Arsenal, and as an Arsenal fan, that doesn't sit too well with me, if I'm honest. It's not something I like to talk about. It's not something I like to think necessarily, but in FPL, we have to try and be objective, and objectively speaking, I think Erling Haaland is going to be pretty dangerous against Arsenal, and it could be a bit of a bloodbath here. It really could. So I guess let's see what happens there, but certainly, I wouldn't expect Arsenal to be keeping a clean sheet up against this man. I really wouldn't. And looking forward really to owning Erling Haaland in future game weeks where he should really, really pay off. Next up, Harry Kane, a player who plays against Manchester United this game week. And we spoke about the fragilities at Spurs at the moment. But you have to remember that Manchester United are missing a couple of defenders at the moment, aren't they? And Harry Kane, despite the fact he plays for this awful Spurs team, he does have that ability to just score in any game, and I do still feel like unless you have to sell Kane in order to get Erling Haaland, or if you really want to sell Kane in order to get Mo Salah, for example, then maybe you should just keep him. Maybe you should just keep him because I feel like he could do the business against Manchester United. As we move to the double game week, next game week, where there are going to be some other players, other premiums, which have much higher ceilings, the likes of Salah and De Bruyne, for example, then at that point, yes, you probably would look to sell Kane. He doesn't have any easy fixtures really for quite some time now. So over the next kind of 4, it's not going to be mega hauls for Kane, but you still do feel like against Manchester United, playing at home, Harry Kane, knowing what he can do, knowing what he consistently does and how he pretty much never lets you down, he's probably going to score in this game as well, which could mean disappointment for those of you guys who own Manchester United defenders, and it could also mean disappointment for anyone who sells Harry Kane as well. And finally up front, we've got Ollie Watkins, who I think is going to come back to business with this game against Fulham. Disappointing one against Brentford. I'm sure we all expected him to score in that one, given he has been so consistent, even better than Harry Kane recently. But now I think is the time where he's going to be playing against a super, super weak Fulham defence, playing at home, playing for this Aston Villa team that is in form, challenging for these European places, like creeping up to these high positions in the table without anyone really even noticing. Aston Villa are on fire at the moment, and Ollie Watkins is at the centre of all of it. So I'm really expecting him to go hard against Fulham, really, and return to those mega scores that we kind of have seen previously from him. So Watkins, definitely a player to watch for this game week. Onto the bench, guys. We have got Edison, Martinelli, Shaw and Botman. Like I say, I prefer Kepa to Edison this game week. week, and I think the save potential really was the deciding factor for me. Martinelli against Manchester City. Love Martinelli, really rate Martinelli, but if there's one defense that he's not going to perform against, it is going to be Man City. But if I'm totally honest, I can definitely see Martinelli getting on the score sheet against Manchester City. It's definitely something that's going to be possible. If any Arsenal player is going to score or assist against City, you probably would bet that it would be Martinelli given his current form. He really is by far the best attacker for Arsenal at the moment. So yeah, I think that's absolutely fine to play him if you need to. You don't really need to transfer him out right now. Maybe that's a kind of a conversation for next game week. Luke Shaw and Botman, like I say, just don't really prefer them to chill well in this specific game week. Sure, yeah, you could potentially get a clean sheet, but I'm hoping Harry Kane will wipe that out. And also, Manchester United have got a couple of defensive problems at the moment. So yeah, I'm not fully convinced in a game against Spurs that they're guaranteed to keep a clean sheet or anything like that. Botman, I do think will keep a clean sheet, to be fair, but there's no real attacking potential there. So I have opted for Chilwell instead of those players. So with that said, guys, we have got a team in front of us, and I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. You guys are thinking, well, you need to sell Fernandes for Salah, Dan. That seems super obvious, doesn't it? That looks like the move to go for. Well, all right, let me kind of show you my options, and then I'll kind of tell you what I'm thinking about doing for Game Week 33. Okay, guys, so this is option number one, and it is to do nothing. In Game Week 33, it really is to do nothing. So save my free transfer for Game Week 34. If Fernandes is unavailable, I can use my bench. We do have Martinelli on the bench, who, like I say, I would be happy to play this game week, because if anyone is going to score in that game for Arsenal, it's probably going to be him. So I'd be more than happy to play Martinelli for Game Week 33. And I'll basically be praying that Fernandes is back for Game Week 34. But right now, I feel like there is a good chance that will happen, and if it doesn't, I will have the information at that point where I can make the necessary move later. For Game Week 34, that would mean making 3 transfers, so that would be going Kane to Jota, Martinelli to Grealish, and Chilwell to Alexander-Arnold, which will give me a total of 11 double Game Week players, and all I'd need to do is take a -4 in order for that to happen. Of course, that is going to be depending on Fernandes' fitness. I think that is absolutely fine to try and wait and see if that will happen. If everything goes to plan, this is going to be really good, and it's going to mean that I will get all of the players that I want to get, make the necessary -4. Like a -4 over the 2 game week period is really not very much. I think most people will be taking much more than a -4 over the next 2 game weeks. So I would be absolutely fine with doing that in order to get 11 double game week players, and perhaps more importantly, the right 11 double game week players. I would be missing Salah, of course, but I'm not totally convinced by Salah anyway, and I feel like I do kind of prefer Jota at the moment, if for nothing else but him being a bit of a differential. But he does seem a little bit more dangerous than Salah over the last couple of game weeks watching him play. We've seen Salah kind of isolated quite wide more recently, and Jota really coming into that form, and when he's in form, we've seen before, Jota can be a better FPL asset than Salah when he's in the right kind of levels of form. So it will be risky to go about Salah, of course, but I feel like it is a calculated risk, and it's a risk that involves backing your gut, or backing what you really feel, and trying to avoid going with the crowds a little bit there. And like I say, it will give me 11 double game week players for Game Week 34, and it will also ensure that in Game Week 37, I will have 9 double game week players before I make any transfers. It will be triple United, triple Brighton, and triple City as well. So even by Game Week 34, I will already have 9 double game week players, and we'll be able to maybe add another double game week player. To be fair, it's kind of Chelsea who are the other double game week team, and I'm not totally convinced by buying Chelsea players for their very, very difficult double in 37, but it's definitely going to be an option for me. But this strategy was kind of the one I was hoping to go with, and it kind of does depend on Fernandes' fitness. I don't mind him being out for 1 game week, but if he's going to be out for more than 1 game week, if he's out for Game Week 34, then this strategy unfortunately does come unstuck a little bit. So there is another option. So option number 2 is to make 2 transfers now. So take the -4 in Game Week 33. That would involve taking Kane to Isak and Fernandes to Salah. Now, I wouldn't be able to quite afford to do Kane to Jota and Fernandes to Salah. I can't quite afford that one, so that's not going to be an option for me. But certainly, if that is something that you guys can afford, I would definitely consider doing that instead and getting Jota and Salah now instead of Isak and Salah. Salah, but unless I take a -8, I'm not going to be able to do that, and I could end up doing more damage to my team than good, to be fair. So, yeah, this would also involve making one more transfer in Game Week 34, Chilwell to Alexander-Arnold, but it would only leave me with 9 double Game Week players, and perhaps more importantly, only 7 double Game Week players in Game Week 37. So, it sounds very good going for Salah now, going for Isak now as well, but it limits the amount of double Game Week players I will have in Game Week 34. As well, in Game Week 34, it would give me an additional kind of defender double Game Week player as well, because, yeah, it's just not really kind of what I'm looking for. So I would not like to do this ideally, and the one advantage is I would get 6 double Game Week players pre-transfers for Game Week 36, because that's when we see Brighton and Newcastle double, and when I have Isak, I will get 6 double Game Week players instead of the 5. But to be honest, I could easily move Jota to Isak using option number 1 anyway by that point, so it's not really going to make too much of a difference there. Now, I think the key decision here is who do I think is going to score more points? Isak and Salah, or Kane and Martinelli in Game Week 33? And if I'm totally honest with you guys, I don't think there's that much in it, really. I kind of quite like Kane for Game Week 33. I prefer Kane to Isak in Game Week 33. And Fernandes versus Salah, I mean, Salah is objectively the better pick. You guys would probably agree with that. But with Salah playing quite wide recently and Jota the new star man against West Ham away, is that guaranteed points for Salah? I don't know if it necessarily is. So again, a calculated risk might be to just stick with what I've got, wait for more information, and reassess in Game Week 34 to see how I can maximize the amount of players I have for doubles in 34, doubles in 36, and doubles in 37, because I want them all. I want everything, and I feel like I want to have Bruno Fernandes in my team to take advantage of what I can see in front of me, and maybe go for some slightly different Liverpool players. I want kind of Trent and Jota. I don't really want Trent and Salah. I want Trent and Jota. Those are the 2 players I would prefer to have, and I want to maximize those double players as well. So really right now, guys, I'll tell you, let's move on back to the screen with my team on. I prefer not to make a transfer. I prefer not to make a transfer. I feel like I want to wait for more information. I'm feeling fairly optimistic that Fernandes will be back for Game Week 34. And if that's the case, my original strategy continues to work. And the one kind of Achilles heel, I guess, I have to this strategy is a lack of Salah. But am I super, super worried about that one? All right, yeah, I'm a little bit worried, but at the same time, a lot of people who own Salah won't own Fernandes. And do I feel like Fernandes can score similarly to Salah in Game Week 34? I mean, potentially. And in the long term, it will mean taking less -4s, making less transfers. And overall, will that give me a little bit of an advantage? It allows me to keep Harry Kane for Game Week 33. And you never know, if Martinelli outscores Salah in Game Week 33, then that's going to look quite good, really, isn't it? So overall, I still kind of feel like I prefer to not make a transfer. One more consideration about Isak, which I haven't mentioned already, but Isak, I'm not 100% sure if he's even going to start in Game Week 33, to be honest, because often when we see Newcastle play midweek games, sometimes Isak and Wilson do rotate a little bit there. We get reduced minutes there. So, yeah, overall, I'm going to stick with what I've got. That is my current thinking. Of course, I could change my mind before deadline, but this is what I've got right now. Finally, on captaincy, guys, we're going to captain Erling Haaland. Like I say, Arsenal just not been good recently, and Erling Haaland has been incredible recently, so it seems like a fairly decent matchup, really. And we're going to put the vice-captain on Ollie Watkins against Fulham, because I do feel quite confident that he could do really well once again against them as well. So, guys, that is my team for Game Week 33. No transfers used. We're back to my normal team, and we're going to try and stick with the original plan. We will adapt if we have to, but right now, I think the original plan is still very much on the cards. We can get the right players, we can get big double game weeks going, and we don't really need to take too many hits or make too many transfers in order to do that. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy this one, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe if you're new around here as well. Plenty of other Game Week 33 content on the channel as well. So do go check out some of the other videos I've made this week that may answer some of your other questions. We'll be streaming today as well, so look forward to that. But aside from that, guys, thank you once again so much for watching, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.